Chapter 56. So after escaping from one heavily fortified building, Jack and his grandfather now had to break into another. Being full of priceless historic artefacts, the museum had excellent security. A quick sweep around the outside of the building only confirmed what Jack had suspected. All the windows and doors were locked. Last time Grandpa had walked right in because the museum had been open to the public. This time it was not going to be so easy. By the time the pair came back to the front, they had all but given up hope. "Some clown has locked up the aircraft hangar," muttered Grandpa. Jack looked up at the building. High above the Roman-style columns of the museum front squatted a large green dome. Dotted along the base of it, there was a number of small round windows. They looked like the portholes of a ship. One at the front appeared slightly ajar. Perhaps it could be prized open. But how were they going to get up there? As Jack pondered this, he leaned on one of the two huge naval cannons that pointed proudly aloft. In the courtyard, the boy had an idea. "Wing Commander." "Yes, old boy." "If the cannon could be turned round to point the other way, then we could climb along them to reach the open window up there." The cannon sat on a large metal base. Together, the pair tried to push it on, but it wouldn't turn. But feeling underneath, Jack found a number of large screws. "I still have the serving spoon, sir," proclaimed the boy. It was the one we had swiped from the school cafeteria that he hadn't got the chance to give to Grandpa earlier that night. "We can use it as a screwdriver," said Grandpa. Using the handle of the spoon, the old man loosened the screws in no time. With all their strength, the pair then put the shoulders against the base and pushed as hard as they could. It was tough work, but at last the cannons were pointing up at the museum. Jack climbed up onto one, while his grandfather heaved himself onto the other. Both held on their arms for balance as they edged their way along. After a few steps, Jack realised it was best not to look down. It was quite a drop. Eventually, Jack and his grandfather reached the roof of the museum. On seeing the Union Jack flying, their grandpa saluted it, and the boy felt compelled to follow suit. Pigeon poop covered the roof, as it was very slippery, especially if you happened to be wearing slippers. "This one, sir," said the boy, indicating the little round window that had been left open ever so slightly. Jack just managed to force his small fingers into the gap and pull the window fully open. "Good work, squadron leader," said Grandpa. The old man gave the boy a leg up. Jack then reached down his hand to help his grandfather inside. The pair had broken into the Imperial War Museum. The feeling landed on Jack like an enormous yes. Now all they had to do was steal the Spitfire. Driving a tank. Jack and his grandfather raced down the staircase and into the great room of the museum, where the aircraft was suspended from the ceiling. The fighter planes had been repaired since the pair's last visit. The Spitfire had been restored to her former glory. On the wall was a winch, and the two worked double quick to bring the warbird back down to earth. In a nearby glass cabinet stood a display of RAF pilots, flying gear on mannequins. Thinking fast, they pushed an old World War I cavalry cannon that in its day would have been drawn by a horse towards the cabinet. The cannon smashed the glass. As if they'd been scrambled, the pair raced to put on their flying gear. The boy checked his reflection in the next glass case along. Goggles? Check. Helmet? Check. Flying suit? Check. Scarf? Check. Brown leather jacket? Check. Boots? Check. Gloves? Check. Parachute? Check. They had their flying suits on. The Spitfire was on the ground, but amidst all the excitement, the pair had forgotten something. Something big. "Wing Commander," said the boy. "Yes, squadron leader. How are we going to get the plane out of here?" The old man glanced all around, a look of puzzlement on his face. Whichever clown designed the aircraft hangar forgot to put the doors in. Suddenly it was as if a balloon had been deflated inside Jack. Getting into the museum had been hard enough, but getting the Spitfire out seemed impossible. On the other side of the hall, a World War I tank was on display. It was a British Mark V, military green with 2 huge caterpillar tracks. It was so big and heavy, it looked like it could smash through the concrete. Suddenly Jack had an idea. "Do you know how to drive a tank, sir?" asked the boy. "No, but how hard can it be?" Grandpa was a man who could take everything in his stride. The pair hurried over to the tank, clambered up and opened the hatch on the top. Plunging down into the cramped cockpit, they were greeted by the most unfamiliar array of pedals and levers. "Let's just try a few of these, shall we?" announced Grandpa. After starting the engine, the old man pulled down a lever, which immediately threw the tank into reverse. "Make it stop!" shouted Jack. It was too late. The Imperial War Museum's gift shop had been destroyed. Crash! Now, in something of a panic, the boy pulled the nearest handle, and the ancient tank surged forward at a terrific speed. Smash! It demolished the wall of the museum with laughable ease. Getting the hang of the Mark V, now the pair drove the tank backwards and forwards a few times to make sure the ore was big enough for the Spitfire's wings to fit through. Smash! Bang! Crash! Then they scrambled out the tank and rushed back over to the Spitfire. They leapt up onto the wing and climbed into the cockpit. As with most World War II fighter planes, there was just one seat, so the boy sat on his grandpa's lap. "Cosy in here, isn't it, squadron leader?" remarked the old man. For the first time in his life, Jack was sitting in a real Spitfire. His dream was coming true. After all those years of playing pilots with his grandfather, the inside of the plane was exactly as the old man had described. There was an instrument panel with a dial for speed and altitude. Below that was a compass. The gun sights were, of course, at head height. Between the boy's knees was a control column. At the top of the stick was the most thrilling part, a button to fire the machine guns. Grandpa went through his checks. "Canopy secure? Check. Propeller set to low? Check. Battery on? Check. Flaps up and trimmed? Navigation equipment? Flight instruments? Check. Fuel empty." Jack's eyes turned to the fuel gauge. It was indeed empty. Here they were, all dressed up with nowhere to go. "You stay here, squadron leader," said Grandpa. "What are you going to do?" asked the boys. "One of us is going to have to get out and push."